It's 10 o'clock on my computer, so let's get started with this week's Tech Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about crystal reports, and we've added a couple of new twists today. One is we're going to add a sub-report into our crystal report, and the other is at the end we will show you how you can use a third-party tool that works with Sage to email your reports. So let's get started. We have a lot to cover today. What we're going to do is we are going to create a report that lists new clients. So we at our company want to know all the new clients that were added in the last week, but as a twist, we want all the contacts, and that's where our sub-report is going to come in. So let's get started. We're going to do File, New, Standard Report, and we're going to create a new connection. It's going to be this ODBC, and I am going to locate my SOTA Mass 90. That's our Mass 90. Then I'm going to click Next, and I'm going to click Finish. And now it's going to ask me to pick my company. So here's my test company, and I log in just like I would be logging into the Sage database. So that brings up a list of all of the tables out in my database. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for new customers, but I also want some salesperson information and I want some contact information. So when you do a report with a sub-report, it's important to remember that each report, the main report and the sub-report, are their own reports in and of themselves. So when I'm picking the tables for my main report, I'm only interested in those tables. When I'm picking the tables for my sub-report, I'm only interested in the tables that I need for my sub-report data. So in my main report, I'm interested in customer data and salesperson data. So I'm going to scroll down here till I'll hit the AR. And I'm looking for AR_customer because that's where my customer data is. And then I know that only the salesperson number and some other data is included in the customer table, but the salesperson name is not in there, and also some telephone numbers that I'm going to be looking for. So I'm going to come down here until I find AR_salesperson. And I'm going to bring that table over as well. So those are my two tables that I need in my main report. So I click the Next button, and this shows our links. Now I'm just going to be perfectly happy with these links. When you get your notes, when you get your handout, I go over the 4 kinds of links. The most common ones we use are an inner join, which means it includes records from both tables. So there has to be matching records in both tables, and then the left outer join. Now I am going to change these to be left outer join just in the event that I didn't have information in the salesperson table for the customer. So I'm going to click Next. And now this brings up a list of all the fields that are in those tables. So first is the AR customer, and then below I have the fields from the AR salesperson. Now I'm going to be putting together some formulas as we go through this, so I am not going to get every field that I'm going to use in the report. I'm just going to get some. So I want the credit limit. That's something that I'm interested in letting folks know for new customers. I want the customer name and the customer number. And then I want the email address. And I want the price level. So that's all information that I'm interested in. And I can also change the order of these. So right now they're in alphabetic order, but I really don't want that credit limit to be first. So with it highlighted, I can move this down arrow, and I can put it before the price level, and then I'm really going to show my customer number before my customer name. So then I click the next button, and this is for grouping. We're not going to be doing any grouping here in our report, and then we're not going to be doing any filtering, so I'm just going to click the Finish button. And when I do that, you can see the report opens up in the Preview tab, and it has all of the data. It has my customer number, customer name, email address, credit limit, and price level. So now I'm going to start designing. So I'm going to click over here on the Design tab. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check, and my font is Sans Serif 8, and I'm going to be perfectly happy with that. Now, if I needed to change that, I certainly could, and there will be, and you've probably seen me do that before. You can come up here to, well, first you can change the font. You can pick all of the fields in your report. You can right-click and do Format Objects, and you see here you have a font tab. So if I wanted to change this to 10-point font, I could do that, but I'm going to just keep this with 8. Or if it was small, let's say, for example, we had a lot of fields, and sometimes it comes across as 6-point, then we could increase that to 8. So I'm just going to click OK. So I'm happy with that font size. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving things around and adding formulas that will give me additional fields that I'm going to add to my workspace. So the first thing I'm going to come over here and do is I'm going to add a new formula. And my first formula is going to be for the customer telephone number. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because telephone number and extension, if there is one, are two separate fields, and I just want to combine those. So I'm going to call this one customer phone, and I'm going to click OK. And so that you don't have to watch me type, I have a little cheat sheet over here. And so what we're doing is we're saying if the telephone extension is blank, then I just want to print the telephone number. But if the extension is not blank, I'm going to print the telephone number plus a space, the letter X, another space, and the customer's telephone extension. Now, it's really important when you come up here that you want to change this or make sure that it says default values for nulls. Otherwise, you'll get some unexpected results, and you may not get information printed in your report where there is actually information in the database. So that's kind of an important thing, and I even put that in red when you get the handout so that you know that that's important. So let's do that. We're going to save and close. Now, when I do save and close, if I have an error in my formula, it would complain and it would ask me if I want to go ahead and save, and at that point we would fix it. Now we're going to do another one for the salesperson phone number. So let's click OK there. And then we are going to grab my little formula. And this looks similar, except for now we're using the salesperson table because that's where the salesperson's telephone and extension is. And then the next one we're going to do is we are going to add a field that includes both the salesperson number and their name. So let's add one more. We're going to call that one salesperson. And similarly, that one takes the salesperson number from the customer table and adds a dash and adds the salesperson name from the salesperson table. So you can mix fields in, two different tables as long as they're have been selected. So we're going to save and close. And last but not least, we're going to go back and we are going to change these. Again, you want those so that you will get all of your information. And then the last thing we're going to do is we are going to add an address block. Now this will be similar to things that you see on invoices, sales orders. If you've ever seen us work on your forms behind the scenes, you will see that there is a formula that's an address block. And so that's what we're going to do. We are going to add one of those, and we are going to call this customer address. And I am going to get this big, long formula. And I am going to change this to basic syntax, and that's just a term for the programming language, and again, I'm changing that. And what this does is all I'm doing is I'm setting variables for the 3 lines of address that are available, city, state, and zip. And then I'm saying if the address line is not blank, then, customer address equals address line 1. And then I put in a carry return line feed, do the same thing for address line 2, address line 3, and then I concatenate city, state, and zip. And then my formula is, address 1, address 2, address 3, city, state, and zip. So this creates that nice block. If, for example, my customer only uses address line 1, then I don't have to have 2 blank lines. I don't have to have columns across the report taking up space when, maybe it's rare that any of my addresses expand to address line 3. So this was something, I poached this from another address block, and I welcome you to poach this from my report or one of the address blocks. The only thing that this does not have that a lot of times you see inside like your invoice, it doesn't have your bill-to name or your customer name, because we're showing those separately in our report. And again, that's just personal preference. I could have included that as well. So we're going to save and close that. Now we are going to start manipulating our design surface. So as everyone knows, I don't like these little tab stops, so I always get rid of them because they tend to keep you from aligning your fields the way you really want to. And I'm going to move this out of my way. And I'm going to move my customer number to the left. And I happen to know from my preview that is way more space than I really need. So I'm going to skinny that up a little bit. And then I'm going to scoot over my customer name. And then I am going to leave my email address there for right now, and my credit limit and price level. So I'm going to kind of move those, leave those where they are for right now. And now I'm going to insert that address block. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I am going to grab my customer address, and I'm going to drag it underneath my customer name. Now, as you can see, I got a new tab stop, and the heading lays on top of my other heading. So I'm just going to get rid of that guy. So I just highlight it and hit the delete key. And then I'm going to take a quick look and see what my data looks like. So right now it looks like maybe I need to make that block just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to align these so that they're both aligned. And then I'm going to check that out again. So now that looks better to me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this guy over. So my email address is going to be here. And then what I'm going to do to save some space is I'm going to put my customer phone underneath my email address. And again, I get two headings and I get a tab stop. Okay. And now I'm going to move my credit limit. And I'm going to make him a little bit bigger. And I'm going to move my price level. And I'll make it just a little bit wider as well. Now, I have to bring in my salesperson information. So I'm going to bring in my salesperson. And because I'm running out of room, I'm going to put my salesperson telephone number underneath my salesperson. Okay. So now I'm going to kind of fix up my headings. I'm going to get rid of this guy, and I'm going to just make one big heading that says customer, number, and name. And then this one I want to be email, address, and phone. Credit limit, I'm going to put in a space between the credit and the limit, and the same thing for price level. And this is going to be salesperson, name, and phone. Okay. Oh, got a little truncation there, so we just make that a little bit wider so that we can see all of that. Now, I prefer, again, all of this stuff, formatting is personal preference. This is just the way I like it. I like to bold and underline my headings just because they stand out. And then my price level, I'm going to go ahead and center that just so we can see what it looks like. And then we're going to preview. So as you can see, my phone numbers that had extensions come with the extension, the ones without an extension. And that's all based on those formulas that we did where we said if there's an extension, add it. If there's not, just print the phone number. And then that way you don't end up with an X and no extension, or you don't lose the extension. So that gets us kind of the basic information. Now what do I want to do? Well, before I move on to my sub-report, I'm going to do one last thing. And again, I want my date and page number to print at the bottom. So, oops, this guy jumped into the report footer, so I'm going to drag him back where he belongs. And I'm going to type run date. Now, a neat thing you can do is you can drag the date inside of that label, and then they print together. So you don't have to, try and get them close together so they look nice on the screen. And you can do the same thing with page number. So we're going to come over here and we're going to type page, and then our pages is probably only going to be 1 digit, so we're going to drag that up. And we're going to make these guys the same height. And we are going to align the bottoms. And then this guy I want to kind of line up over here. Okay, so now when I do my preview, if I go down to the bottom, as you can see, run date, oops, got a little truncation there, so I'm going to fix that. But this guy is okay. So we are going to make this one a little bit wider. And now when we go back, we see the full date, 10/20/2015. So now I want to add that sub-report. And sub-reports can be easy or not so easy, just depending upon the kind of information you want. Now, why are we going to do a sub-report? Well, the reason we're going to do a sub-report is because between the customer table and the customer contact table, there is a one-to-many relationship. So one customer can have many contacts. So that's why I'm going to do a sub-report so that I get all of my contacts in one group and I only show my customer once versus showing a customer and a contact, that same customer with each of their contacts. This way, with the sub-report, I can just show all of my customer data once and then the contact data separately. So where am I going to put my sub-report? Well, in this particular instance, it's going to be another detail section in my report. So how do I get another detail section? I come up here, Report, Section Expert, I click on Details, and I do an insert. And that is inserted a new section. So now you see I have Details B. So I'm going to make this guy a little bit bigger. And now I want to insert a sub-report. So here's my icon. I can either click this icon or up here on Insert. I also have sub-report. So I am going to create a sub-report with the wizard. Now, if I had a report somewhere else, I could certainly do this one, choose an existing report, and insert. Again, sub-reports can actually stand on their own. And this one could probably stand on its own because it's all contact information. So aside from the fact that we right now aren't going to add any customer information, the report could theoretically stand on its own. So we're going to call our report contacts, and we're going to use the report wizard. And again, I only am looking for the table or tables that I'm interested in for my sub-report. So on this one, I want customer contact. And then this brings up the list of fields from the customer contact table. So right now, all I'm going to bring over is customer number. And I'm going to finish. Now, I could, if I wanted to group them, if I wanted to filter, I could certainly do that, but I'm just going to click Finish. And then I'm going to click on the Link tab here. And this tells us how our main report and our sub-report are linked together. Well, they are linked together based on the customer number. So I kind of scroll and I highlight, and you can see these kind of get chopped off. So here's my customer number, and there's my field to link. So I am linking from the customer number in the main report to the customer number in my sub-report. Now, I don't have to have customer number in my report, and I'm probably going to to, we'll probably eliminate that here in a minute. And then this is my sub-report, so I'm just going to insert this here. And then before we go any further, we are going to kind of format this a little bit before we actually start working. So you can see the font here is a little bit bigger. So we're going to right-click and we're going to format our sub-report. Now, can grow means that the sub-report can grow based upon the number of rows. Border, as you can see, my sub-report currently has a border around it. So I want to get rid of that. Again, personal preference. I prefer not to have that border. Font, I want this to be the same size font as my regular report, so I'm going to change that to 8. And then on the sub-report tabs, I want to suppress a blank sub-report. And that would mean that I wouldn't get column headings and stuff if I didn't have any data. So I can kind of make this a little bit smaller so it doesn't take up so much room in my main report. And now I want to actually go and design my report. So let's come over here. So right now I have customer number. Now, do I really need customer number because I already have that in my main report? So probably not. So I'm going to get rid of that guy. But what information do I want? Well, I want to know the contact name. I want to know their telephone numbers. And we have 2 telephone numbers on our contacts. And I want to know their email address. So I'm going to do similarly to what I did with the main report, and I'm going to put in some formulas. So my first formula is going to be contact, and I am going to concatenate the contact code and the contact name. And I'm going to save and close that. And then I have 2 telephone numbers. So my first phone number I'm going to do. And in my company, the first telephone number for my contact is always their office number. So I can just call that office. And I'm going to get that formula. And this is just exactly what we did before. And then my telephone 2 is always where we put our contact cell number. So let's grab that formula. And theoretically, cell phone numbers don't have extensions, but just in case somebody put something in, got them backwards, then I would still have that information, and that would be something that we could check out. Okay, so let's bring over the contact. Again, that gives me their name and number. And then I want their email address, and I'm going to go grab that from the table. And then I want the office number and the cell number. And I'm going to get rid of these guys. And I am going to change my column headings just like I did. In my main report. Okay. And then these guys, bold, they're already underlined, and center them. And then I am going to make sure everybody's aligned at the bottom. And then I'm just going to kind of fix this up just a little bit. Now, email addresses I know are always long. You know, they have the potential of being pretty wide, so I'm going to make that column wider. And then I'm going to make this guy just a little bit wider as well. Okay. Now, if I go back to my preview, you can see that my sub-report is highlighted because that's where I am, and I have all this extra space. So I have a date, it looks like I have a footer. Well, I don't really want to show all that extra white space in my main report. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to kind of, check some of these, make sure everything looks okay. I've got enough space. So I'm going to come back to my sub-report. I don't need to reprint the date every time, so I can get rid of that. And I don't really need this wide of a report header. So if I scoot these guys up, and again, you always have to scoot them up because your bottom margin slides up. And then what I can do is I can come in here. There's the same information that you had in your main report. I don't want report header A, so I'm going to suppress that. I do want report header B. I do want the details, but I don't need the footer. So now when I preview, I just have a little bit of space. So I've lost all of that extra white space. But what I'm noticing is these are all kind of running together, and so I want to put some kind of a break in there. So I'm going to come back to my design. I'm going to go to Section Expert, and I'm going to insert one more detail row. And what I'm going to do with that detail row is I am going to insert just a line that will give me some kind of a separation. So now when I look at it, I have this line that separates my customer information and contact information from all the rest. Now, this looks like all of my customers, and I'm really only interested in the customers that were added last week. So I'm going to add a selection formula, and my selection formula is going to be any customer where the date created is greater than or equal to today, current date, minus 7. So that'll give me everybody for the last week. So now if I save and close and I refresh, now I only have the new customers that have been added. I don't have all of the ones that were there prior to last week. So now we're going to do something that's going to help us when we get to our email. We're going to add some report header information, or I'm sorry, page header information. So right now I only have one page header, so I'm going to add another one. And I really want my new page header to be on top, so I'm going to switch those around. So now I have some blank space up here. And just for grins, we're going to add a parameter field. And that parameter field is going to hold our company name. So I'm going to say company, if I can spell, and enter company name. And that guy's going to go up here. I'm going to make him just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to make him 10 points so he stands out, bold and center. Then I'm going to add a report title. And my report title can be right here. And my report title is New Customer Listing. And that I want to be 10-point as well. And then last but not least, I'm going to put in one more formula that tells me the dates that those customers were created. So here is my date range. And that okay, anything inside of quotes is just text. So I'm saying this is customers added from, and I change this to text, so to text current date -7, which is 7 days ago, to current date -1. And that, so anything 7 days through yesterday. Save and close. Add this guy. And he can be 10. So we want same width. Same height. And we're going to align the left. And then we're going to scoot this guy up. Okay. So now if I preview, it's going to ask me for my company name because I added that parameter. And customers added from 10/13 through 10/19. So that's my last week. And so I have a page worth of customers. So now what I want to do is I want to save this. And so I'm going to go File. I don't need it with the data. And make sure we are in the right place. And I'm going to call this AR. And I'm going to name it custom because I may indeed add this onto my menu. So it would be a custom report. Now I know we've done that in the past, so we're not going to do that today. So I'm going to save that. But what we are going to do today is I'm going to show you, I know normally Sue and I we don't present third-party products during our Tech Tuesday, but we've had a lot of requests for how can we get reports emailed to us. And currently there is not a way within Sage to email reports. But there is a third-party tool called Sage Alerts and Workflows that would allow you to get your reports emailed. Now, the caveat is it has to be a report that's designed in Crystal. It can't be a standard report that uses the work table. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. I am here inside of Sage Alerts and Workflows, and you can see all of our modules. I'm going to add this into Accounts Receivable. The first thing you do is add a report definition. So my report name is going to be New Customer Listing. And then I'm going to browse and find that report I just did. And I'm going to save that. So now I have a new report definition. Now I need to create the schedule. So I'm going to do a new schedule. Priority, you can pick anything between 0 and 9. I normally pick 5. It's going to be active. Keep only the last checked records. On the Reports tab, that's where I add my report. And then here, you see output type or style. So I'm going to do this as a PDF. So you see I have lots of different styles, but I want this to be delivered as a PDF. Again, any kind of parameter that you have in your report will show up here in the report parameters section. So if you had dates, if you had, in this example, I just used the company name. Maybe I have 5 different companies and I want to schedule 5 different reports. Files is nothing. I'm going to just go through and check some boxes. Email. So here's my email information. So this would be my email subject. And so for my example here, it's just going to be new customer listing. And in here, I can put, whatever I want my message text to be. Now, as a reminder, this is something that's going to come automatically out of the system. So you wouldn't want to say, here's all the new customers as of October 19th, because that would be what would appear in the text each time. Now, you could say use some of these variables, but we're just going to type a little bit of text just for our example. And I want to include the report as an attachment. I don't want that to show in the body of my email. And then I'm going to pick who I want to get the report. So today I'm just going to pick myself. And then I'm going to schedule it. So for our schedule, there are some default schedules that come with Sage Alerts and Workflows. I am going to pick one that I actually created earlier. So I'm going to say I want this delivered every Monday at 6 a.m. And then I'm going to save that. Then we're going to start our Outlook, and I will show you what it looks like. So we are going to come here, and I can just schedule this event now so that you can see what the email looks like. So I'm going to click on here, yes, okay, and if I've done everything correctly, we get our email. And our email looks just exactly like what we set up. Attached is a new customer listing. Please review and forward any corrections to accounting. And if I open my attachment, there's my report in a PDF format. So I hope I didn't miss anyone's questions. I know we went a little over, and I know I covered a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. So if you have any questions on subreports, if you'd like to do this yourself, please feel free to give me a call, and we'd be more than happy to help you along the way. So have a great day. Enjoy your crystal reporting, and we will talk to you in the near future. Bye.